I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Imran, Group Head, Islamic Banking at Bank Alfalah. He has, mashallah, some answers to global burning questions of millennials, and and he will share them through some stories. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Imran.
Thank you, Rizwan. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen. Muhammadin wa alihi sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I am here between you and the lunch. So I won't take much time because that's something that you guys are looking forward to. Stories. Stories basically special power for captivating our attention. और ये वीडियो में अपनी ऑन करना चाह रहा हूँ. You start reading the Quran right from Surah Al-Baqarah. You start right after initial segregation of people from Kuffar. The story of Bani Israel starts, and then it goes on and on and on. And you see the story of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam and the other prophets as well. Why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used so many stories in the Quran? And the reason is because human beings on this planet Earth are the only creatures who can understand and relate to stories. You can't tell a story to a cow, to a goat that is in your house, can't tell a story to someone who can relate to it. So here are a few stories through which we'll answer the burning questions on Islamic finance. These are the questions that have been carrying on for ages. So I just relate to it. Islamic stories in my book, Islamic Finance 101. There are
Islamic फैसल कैसे हैं आप? ठीक हैं?
वालेकुम सलाम सर, आप खैरियत से हैं?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक ठाक. In the same room.
अच्छा सर, आपकी आवाज स्लो आ रही है.
Sitting in the same room. जहाँ से सर ज्वाइन करेंगे.
नहीं, आपकी आवाज मुझे थोड़ी स्लो सुनाई दे रही और आपकी वीडियो क्वालिटी थोड़ी बेहतर हो सकती है.
आपको आई थिंक आपकी बैकग्राउंड में साउंड ज्यादा, दैट्स व्हाई आपको साउंड इसकी प्रॉपर नहीं आ रही.
जी सर, आप क्या कह रहे हैं?
आपके बैकग्राउंड पे साउंड ज्यादा, दैट्स व्हाई आपको इसकी वो नहीं आ रही. अगर आप
ठीक है
लगा लेते हैं देन आपको फील हो जाएगा. दैट इज बेटर.
सही है. बाकी हर चीज ओके है आपके हिसाब से?
मेरे हिसाब से बिल्कुल ठीक है. सर ज्वाइन कितने बजे करेंगे इसके लिए?
सर जो मैंने आपको टाइम कम्युनिकेट किया था वो था 5 PM से 5:15.
5 से 5:15.
जी, इसमें थोड़ा सा सिर्फ 5-10 मिनट का मार्जिन रख लेते हैं आगे पीछे, जस्ट इन केस अगर सेशन थोड़ा स्लो चले. ठीक है, पहले नहीं होगा एग्जैक्टली 5 या 5 से 5 मिनट आगे पीछे.
चलिए मैं 5 बजने से 5 मिनट पहले ज्वाइन कर लूंगा.
ठीक है,
ज्वाइन करके तो मैं सर के पास सिस्टम रख देंगे. जैसे भी आप कहेंगे वो सर इनके वहाँ, लेकिन अपनी वीडियो वगैरह बंद करके सर बैठे होंगे.
सॉरी सर, मुझे आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही. मैं आपको व्हाट्सएप पे कॉल कर लेता हूँ.
चलो ठीक
ठीक है.
What Mufti Hassan saw that instead of the masjid, they were going towards a church. And Mufti Hassan said, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe you are taking me along for sightseeing, but we are here for offering prayers. We'll go for the sightseeing later on. He said, no, I'm not going for sightseeing. We are going for prayers. As the church was approaching, so was the anxiety of Mufti Hassan. And when they went into the parking lot and were about to enter the church, Mufti Hassan stopped and he said, sorry, I'm not going to go inside the church. I'm going to go to the masjid to offer prayers. And the host again said, Mufti Saab, please wait for a few moments. Kindly come along with me and then you'll see what happens. So when he went inside the church, what he saw was that instead of the benches, there were the saf to offer namaz, salat. Instead of the priest, there was an imam who was ready to offer asar prayer. Instead of, there was no cross, there was no statue of Jesus or Virgin Mary. There were no pictures. They were just Muslims offering prayers. Interestingly, the place where the priest was supposed to stand was in the direction of Kaaba, so they didn't have to change that direction as well. So they offered asar prayer. They came back and Mufti Hassan asked his host, what is this? Why are we offering namaz in the church? And he said, well, the population of Muslims in central London has increased by a very, very high ratio in the last few years. However, the building laws of London are not that of Pakistan, where you can change the status of any building whenever you like to. These places are designated churches, and forever they are going to be churches. You cannot change the status. However, we have taken a fatwa that no matter if the building looks like a church, if you remove the non-Sharia compliant things, like the cross, like the statue, like the pictures, like the benches, and you have this stuff and the direction is towards Kaaba, you can offer prayers in the church. That's not a problem. So Mufti Hassan said, isn't it more similar to the problem that we are facing with Islamic banking? Just like the building laws of the UK authorities, our banking laws are made in line with the conventional banking regulations. Just like the problems that the Muslims are facing, that they cannot build a separate masjid, we are facing a problem where we cannot build an alternate economic system. So till the time that we don't do that, why don't we remove all the non-Sharia compliant things that are there in financial transactions and call it Islamic banking? The paradox is that the person who's looking from outside, what does he look at? At a church. But once he comes inside the church, what he sees is that it is a masjid where people are offering prayers and the imam is leading the prayer. So likewise, those who criticize that Islamic banking looks similar to conventional, it does, because the laws and regulations were made for conventional banking. However, our Sharia scholars, they removed all the non-Sharia compliant things from the laws and regulations. So if you want to understand Islamic banking, come inside a branch, do a transaction with the bank, open an account, and you will see safe bichi hui aur namaz ho rahi hai. So that's the first story. The second one is, why do Islamic banks use Kaibor or internationally LIBOR as the benchmark? Ye bhi hit question hai. Now, to answer this question, there's another story, and this is a fictional story. Yes, fiction we can use. There are many urban legends that we have been hearing since long, and nobody knows what the authenticity of the story. So the story is, there's a person named Ahmad al-Musallami. He's from the GCC, and he visits Bangkok very often. And the reason is, in the GCC, in Oman, in Bahrain, in the Saudi, and in Dubai and UAE, the law of the land is that if the educational facility or the educational consultancy of a particular disease is not available within the GCC, then the government will fund for the medical treatment of their citizens. So since medical tourism in 3 countries is very offered at a very efficient manner, that is, number 1 is India, number 2 is Turkey, and the third is Bangkok. So Bangkok is a bit economical, so most of the time government sends them to Bangkok. So Thai Air flight stops over in Karachi. That's why I know so many Omanis traveling to Bangkok for treatment. So Ahmad al-Musallimi used to visit there with family. The problem that he used to face was that when he visited the high street of Bangkok city, there were all the shops selling liquor and alcoholic drinks and alcoholic cocktails. Now, he used to visit there as a Muslim who didn't drink, but he wanted to have a good time. He wanted to sit in a restaurant and having a halal cocktail, halal juice, which was not available. So he thought, well, so many people from the Muslim fraternity, they visit Bangkok. Why don't I open a bar which only offers non-alcoholic beverages, halal cocktail? So he opens up a shop, but then he realizes that since there is no other competition, why don't I price it above the rest? So if, let's say, the alcoholic beverages or the beer is available for 200 baht, baht is the currency in Thailand. So if it's available 200 baht, he started selling his halal cocktail at 300 baht, at a premium of 100 baht. To his surprise, he noticed that the sales were not picking up. Muslims, they follow their religion, but they are not stupid. They are not going to pay a premium. So what we call COBM. You know what COBM? Cost of being Muslim. They don't want to pay a cost of being Muslim. So they won't buy a halal cocktail for 300 baht when a beer is available for 200. They won't drink the beer as well, but they won't get, they don't like themselves to be taken away for a ride. So he consulted one of his friends who was in business in Bangkok. He asked, well, Ahmad, do you tell me, is your input cost different from the person who's selling beer? He said, no, the input cost is same. Okay, are you paying the salary to the labor at the same rate? He said, yes. Then he asked, okay, fine. The utility cost, electricity, the sewerage and the utility cost, that's also the same. What about the rent of the shop? He said, that's also the same. Then he said, why don't you do one thing? You benchmark the price of your halal juice with the price of the beer. So if they're selling the alcoholic beer at 200 baht, you also sell your juice at 200 baht so that you are at a similar price. Ahmad did that, and guess what? His sales just went to the peak. Because when the Muslims were given a choice at the same price, they preferred the halal juice. Now, my question to the audience is, by benchmarking the price of his juice with the beer, does that make that juice haram? Tell me, yes or not? No, it does not. So exactly in the same manner, when Islamic banks benchmark their products with Kaibor, how does it make it haram? It's just a benchmark. Now the question is, why do we benchmark with them? Well, because out of 100 shops on that high street, only one is selling halal cocktail, 99 are selling beer. There is no way that that poor person who is selling halal juice can benchmark on his own. No. But consider a scenario. More Muslims start visiting that area. More Muslims are asking for halal juice. And the shops of beer are closing down. And the shop of juice is now being spread around. And one time comes in when there are 80 shops selling juice and 20 shops selling beer. What will happen then? Then the person selling beer will have to benchmark with the price of the person selling juice. So just bear with us, the Islamic banks. We have a 20% market share in Pakistan. Inshallah, when we reach to a 50% or a 40% mark, it will be the IBOR that will be the benchmark through which conventional banks will be benchmarking their products. So that is about Kaibor. The third story, consider a person, the last one is one. Consider a person who is not an Islamic banker. Consider a person who is not even a banker. Consider a person who is not even a Muslim. Can he practice Islamic finance? Can he practice the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding the matters of muamalat? Regarding the matters of muamalat. Here's the story. It's a true story. There's not a fiction, it's true story. So the story is, I was in Oman and I was living there alone. My family was back in Pakistan. I used to travel here over the weekends. So my family was visiting Oman during the winter holidays, and they were planning to be there for 15-20 days. Now I had a small apartment. Hassan knows the area, Al Khair. So I was at Al Khair in an apartment, and my friend Bilal Fayaz, he's in Bank Islami right now, Bilal. So myself and Bilal were living in the same building. I didn't have a license. One of the most difficult licenses to get, driving license, is in Oman. So I failed 5 times and got the license after a year. So I was failing. That was the time when I was failing. I used to give the test and wasn't able to pass them. So Bilal was driving for my convenience at that point in time because he had got a car. So I got to know an ad that was posted on OLX. If you know, OLX is a website, is an app through which if you can sell your second-hand goods, people buy it. So I saw an ad. I needed a bed set for my family. And my friend told me that there is a specific area that is called Al-Mauj. In English, it's called the waves, where the expats live. They're the foreigners, the Europeans, they live in that area in Muscat. So he said if an ad is posted from the waves or Al-Mauj, you should always go and visit because they come here for a short period of time and the quality of the goods are very good. So I saw a lady who had posted for a sofa come bed. So me and Bilal on a Friday is a holiday in Muscat, so we went there, visited the place. She was with her husband. The name of the husband was Raul. Just to recall, Raul is also the name of a very famous footballer who plays for Real Madrid. So Raul was a pilot. He was a Spanish pilot. He was flying for the Oman Air, but he had got a job in Spanish airline, so he's planning to go back and join his country back. So they showed me the sofa cum bed, and it was in brilliant condition. They hadn't even used it. So I just fell in love with it and said, okay, fine, I'll buy it. Do you have a bed set as well? They said, yes, I have a bed set. So I'll take you to my bedroom and I'll show it to you. So I saw it was a branded bed set, very high quality. But then Raul said, Imran, please come into the room. And then he pulled up the mattress and showed me, here's a scratch on the bottom side. Then he said, you know what, the other side was a bit more, so I have put a nail in here. So pulled up the other side of the mattress and showed me the nail. Then he said, this side table, there's a drawers, can you open up? I said, yeah, I opened it. He said, no, open it with a force. And I opened it with a force, it came out. He said, when you open it with a force, it will come out. Otherwise, this is in a good condition. So he was telling me all the defects of the bed set instead of telling me the qualities. The meeting was over. I gave a price. He accepted it. When we came back to my car, I was shocked. And Bilal asked me, Imran, what's wrong? I said, Bilal, you know what? There's a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the mafhum of the hadith is that it's not allowed for a Muslim to sell a thing to anyone else unless and until he or she has not mentioned the defects of that thing. This guy is a Spanish pilot. He's not even a Muslim. He's practicing Islamic finance. Khayar-e-aib. And he was like, is that so? There is a hadith. I said, yes. I asked from some of my colleagues from Pakistan, and they sent me the hadith as well. The hadith is mentioned in my book. So after some time, there's a 2 years contract when you work in Oman. So Bilal's contract also was completed, and he was planning to come back to Pakistan. And he called back to me and said, Imran, Raul's strategy worked. I said, what happened? He said, I was selling my furniture as well. There was this Sardarji, a Sikh from India. He came in to buy a cupboard, which was 4 years old. And instead of selling it through telling the qualities, I told the Sardarji all the defects that were in the cupboard. Oh, Sardarji, and he was just like, what is he telling? He's telling me all the defects. So after seeing all that thing, Sardarji asked him, Hor bhi kuch hai? Do you have anything else? He said, yeah, I have a bed set. Okay, fine, done. He even bought the gas cylinder, because in Oman you have to buy a gas cylinder. So he even bought the gas cylinder as well. Whatever price Bilal was quoting him, he was not negotiating. So Bilal asked me, Sardarji, ko price mein you will negotiate the price? And the Sardarji said, look, the person who's telling me the defects of the goods before selling it, how can he quote me a wrong price? I don't want to negotiate on the price. What does this tell us? This tells us, unfortunately, the Europeans and the Westerners, as a norm, are practicing Islamic finance while even not knowing that they are practicing Islamic finance. While in Pakistan, what we see is Jameel General Store, Jameel Bhai is sitting and there is written, kharida wa maal wapis ya tabdeel nahi hoga. So let's change our mindset. Let's practice the Islamic finance terminologies, not only in our banks, but in our daily dealings. The blessings we'll see will, inshallah, we'll see in this world and the hereafter. Thank you very much for your time.